Hello, everyone. Let's look at our first reading, the introduction to ethics for A levels. As I hope I've mentioned in general introductory video, which I haven't done yet, actually, A levels is just a exam or a series of exams that kids in England, in the United Kingdom, Scotland, whatever other places, United Kingdom, the high school students take as basically entrance exams for their getting into college. So it's written for that to prepare these students for these things. But I thought it was, good introductory and free moral philosophy textbook. But you can ignore the whole A levels thing; it obviously doesn't apply to us. So here's the introduction, which is something I definitely want you to read. I think it's a nice introduction to philosophy and moral philosophy. In particular, some general things about philosophy and about ethics or moral philosophy. Um, it's all good, and there's some interesting concepts that are brought up. For instance, this distinction between legality and morality, which is quite a complex topic, I think. But the idea that something being legal is not the same as something being moral. That there may be legal things that are immoral, and of course there may be immoral things. There may be moral things that are illegal. I mean, they're not synonymous, and I think most of us know that. Other interesting topics: the difference between prudential reasons and moral reasons, which is actually quite a serious and important matter. Prudential reasons are the reasons that we deal with more commonly every day. Practical reasons. If I decide to invest my money in the stock market rather than to invest it in municipal bonds, that is a prudential decision. That is, it's just a decision that I've made that's entirely practical and has really nothing to do with morality in any obvious way. Deciding to walk to the store by one route rather than another is a prudential decision, whereas a moral decision is different. Now, it's quite different. It's quite difficult to characterize that, what exactly a moral decision is as opposed to prudential. But let's just say that I have two different routes that I have in mind to walk to the store, and I choose one, it couldn't be that choosing that one was wrong in any moral sense. It may not be the most efficient way to get there, but no one would scold me for choosing that route. Whereas if I have a moral decision, there's a possibility of me being wrong in a deep sense, where if I make a decision, let's say, to steal when I have an opportunity, there may be that I am doing something for which I can be severely criticized or even condemned. So this distinction between prudential reasons and moral reasons is actually quite important. It'll especially come up in our reading of the philosophy of Immanuel Kant later on. There's another interesting thing here: the difference between prescriptive and descriptive claims, which is quite important to have a sense of what moral philosophy is about. A descriptive claim is just a characterization of the way the world is. For instance, saying that the United States of America is on the North American continent is a descriptive claim. You're just characterizing the way the world is. You're trying to accurately portray something about the world. To say I am in the city of Philadelphia is a descriptive claim. I believe myself to be in the city of Philadelphia, and I could be wrong about it, but all I'm trying to do is to describe the way the world is. Where a prescriptive claim is different. A prescriptive claim is not about what we do or the way the world is. It's about what we should do and the way the world should be. So if I say that all human beings should be treated with respect, I'm not necessarily saying that that's the way the world is. I'm saying that's the way the world should be. If I say that no one should be discriminated against on the basis of race, gender, ethnicity, religion, I'm not saying that those things don't happen. They certainly do happen. What I'm saying is that they shouldn't happen. So a prescriptive claim is different from a descriptive one, because a descriptive one just tries to accurately say the way the world is, where a prescriptive one tries to characterize the way the world should be, even if it's not. Now, that's an important distinction to keep in mind in any moral philosophy class. It really is the basic distinction that defines the subject matter of moral philosophy is that it deals with prescriptive, fundamentally prescriptive claims. Doing ethics well, thought experiments, I think they're right. Um, this will become especially important when we read things we'll read later in the semester, especially Judith Jarvis Thompson's A Defense of Abortion and Peter Singer's Famine, Affluence, and Morality, where they have many, actually, Judith Jarvis Thompson has many striking thought experiments, which are basically scenarios, case studies or scenarios, made up situations in which you are called upon to evaluate the ethics of the people involved. This is something that we'll be doing continually in this class, thinking about imaginary situations and wondering what the right or wrong thing to do would be in those situations. So, yes, thought experiments or scenarios, as I'll call them, are very, very important part of the way I teach. More and more important as I move on as a teacher. Doing ethics while understanding disagreement. They make an interesting point there. They give an example of people who are arguing about what country has won the most Olympic gold medals, and everybody has a different idea. And comparing that with people arguing about whether euthanasia is morally acceptable, and everybody has a different idea. In the first case, even though everyone has a different idea, we don't jump to the conclusion that there's no right answer. There certainly is a right answer. When we're talking about moral issues like euthanasia, we may jump to the conclusion that because people don't agree about the answer to whether it's morally acceptable, that there is no such answer. That is a fallacy. That is, it doesn't follow from that disagreement that there's no right answer. There may be a right answer, or there may, in fact, not be a right answer. But just because people disagree about something does not mean that the issue or question that they're disagreeing about doesn't have a truth of the matter, doesn't have a right answer. So it's a good introduction. Read it all. It'll give you a very nice sense of what our subject matter is, and then we'll move on to the first section of the course, which I believe is about utilitarianism.